Hello all, I am Kurt from the Trading Options for Cashflow channel. In this video I will be showing and explaining the features of my own annual budgeting and money management spreadsheet that I've made to make money management as easy and efficient as possible. This video is not about convincing you of the importance of good money management, but this video is all about showing you how this effective spreadsheet makes managing and tracking your money as easy as possible. This video comes with an extensive instruction article on my website and with download links to the different locations where I've made this spreadsheet available. You can find all the links in the section below the video. Let's get started. I will show you how to set up the budget, the accounts, how reports work, and how the actual situation is tracked by entering actual transactions. To do this, I will use a fictive financial situation of, let's say, John and Mary. As you can see, the spreadsheets are created in Google Sheets to make them accessible for all people around the world from different devices or computers. The spreadsheet consists of 10 tabs in total, with the different spreadsheets working together to make the actions of managing money as easy and as quick as possible. You will notice that once the initial setup for your personal situation has been done, the regular and periodic updates and follow-up is really easy. Okay, let's go through them in a logical way. The very first action for good money management is creating a financial overview of all income and expenses, which will result in an annual and monthly situation, which we call the financial budget. We do this by drafting our annual and monthly budget, by entering all known income we will receive and all known expenses we will have to make over a complete year. To do this, collect all info, all your bills, and you are ready to start entering. The annual budget here is still empty, as you can see, but this spreadsheet will get fully and automatically filled in and updated based on the data that we will enter in the tab Budget Entry. The only field that you will have to change here is the year, in the field over here on the upper left side. Changing the year will have an impact on the calculated dates for each month and the number of days, but the budget entry information is not linked to a specific year. You will notice that there are already different income categories and expense categories predefined. About 50 income rows, of which a number are hidden, are created, and about 120 expense categories, also with a certain number hidden, are available. The data of the income and expense categories are imported and updated automatically based on the data in the tables in the income categories and expense categories tabs. So if we go over to the income category tab, you will notice that I have predefined a number of possible income categories, and these income categories are also linked to a column called income type. In the expense categories tab, you will find the same table, but now for defining the expenses categories. This categorization allows us to keep overview of all kind of income and expenses we have. To manage money, we need to know. Remember that. If you want to change the name of the categories, or if you want to add categories, you must only do this in these two tabs. Also be aware that the table columns and rows are linked with other tables, so don't just delete without knowing exactly the impact. Let me demonstrate how to change and add a category. Imagine I want to change the name dividend into capital dividend. As you can see, dividend is mentioned here in the annual budget, but when I now change the category name to capital dividend over here, we notice that indeed the updated name appears immediately also in this table. If I want to add a new expense category, let's say music festivals, and I define the type of expense as fun and entertainment, let's see if the budget table is adjusted. And indeed, it appears immediately. Now, if you want to change the names of the types of income or expenses, you can do this in the Backend Fields tab. But for now, let's return to the Budget Entry tab. I will enter the income fields first. Let us imagine John and Mary both have a monthly salary. I can select the corresponding category from the drop-down. So I will select salary, so mandatory fields will get colored in red, as you can see. In the description, I mention it's about John. I select the periodicity of these expected income payments, the month of the first payment. So let's say John will stay employed and keep his salary throughout the year. So I will select the month of January. Next, I will add the expected amount. I can add the accounts data later because we have not yet defined the accounts themselves yet. This is also not relevant for the creation of the annual budget itself. Okay, let me add also a salary for Mary. Let's go and see what this means in the annual budget table. As you can see, the sum of both salaries are mentioned in the income category salary and shows a total of $3,250. The monthly scheduled income numbers and the net difference are calculated on top of the table, as you can see here. This will allow you to have a clear understanding of the annual and monthly financial result of your planned income and planned expenses. Okay, let's continue to add some extra planned income and expenses for John and Mary now. You can follow along while I speed up the data entry a little bit. You can see that the budget table gets adjusted each time new income and new expenses data are entered. Let me show the finished fictive table for John and Mary. As long as the scheduled net is positive, there is room for planning extra expenses, whether these are real expenses or savings. You have noticed that in the budget, savings and investments are also considered as an expense. In good money management, every expense must have a clear purpose. Now, once the budget data has been entered for a particular situation, this data is also imported in the monthly reports tab. As you can see, only the planned numbers are showing here. Okay, let's continue to the next step. We have planned our budget, and now we need to do the follow-up of receiving our income and paying our expenses. This follow-up is done in the tab Transactions. Let us take a quick look at this table to see what data we need to enter. We see date and also account, so we need to define the used accounts first, and that is something that we do in the Accounts tab. Let's imagine that John and Mary have one common checking account, so let's enter that data. Now, important here is that you only, and I stress, only enter data in the white fields and not in the gray ones. The gray fields are calculated fields and should not be changed. So I will enter type of account, and it's a checking account. I will enter a bank name and the actual account number. You will notice that the account name field in the gray first column is adapted automatically. The three other fields, account goal, comments, and the account nickname, are not mandatory fields and can be used to your liking. Let's imagine that John and Mary have also two savings accounts. So I will enter these also, and you can follow along. Now, with these three basic accounts created, let's go back to the Transactions tab. The actual registration or payment of income or expense transactions in the spreadsheet are made here, in the Transactions tab. This tab will hold the data of all the transactions I want to track. The data comprises the date, the used account, the payee, the category of the transaction, income and expense categories, credit or debit. Credit is when you add an income payment to the account, and the debit or debit out is when you make an outgoing payment from that account and the amount is decreased. The account balance is automatically calculated and should not be changed. The field cleared is for future use. Also here pay attention that there are hidden fields that serve a purpose for the calculation of the spreadsheet, and columns should not be deleted in the spreadsheet. When you click on Account, you will now have the possibility to select one of the defined accounts. If you click on Category, you will notice that besides the income and the expense categories, there is a third category called Transaction category, especially used for either creating a beginning balance, for recording specific transfers between accounts, or for recording adjustments to the account itself. I advise that for every account created, you also add the starting balance. In our example of John and Mary, I will create 3 beginning balances for the 3 accounts. Let me show you. So I select the account, add the date, select the category beginning balance for initiating the account. And I add the starting balance for the account in the field credit. Remember, credit is when you add an incoming payment to the account, and debit or debit out is when you make an outgoing payment for that account and the amount will be decreased. So let's add some imaginary balances. You will notice the new account balance is automatically updated in the column Account Balance. And also in the tab Accounts, the account balance is updated. It is important to have a beginning balance to allow correct calculations in the table. You see that in this spreadsheet we always add a new transaction onto the next line. Now when required, you will need to insert new rows and copy one of the empty rows completely onto the inserted row to copy all of the formulas. It is important to select the whole row, because some hidden columns contain formula to make the spreadsheet function correctly. In this example, I will add a couple of income and expense transactions made by John and Mary in the month of January. You can follow along. So I have entered some payments and also some savings. Let's take a look at the result. Notice that a saving transfer is recorded in 2 steps, as an expense of the checking account and as an income transfer of the savings account. It is important to create internal transfers this way in order to keep the balancing and the monthly reporting correct. Whenever you need to adjust the balance of an account for whatever reason, you must use the category Adjustment to keep also the reporting correct. Okay, now with these transactions entered, let's see what this means for our monthly reports. All entries are nicely visible and calculated. The planned income and expenses, but also the unplanned income and expenses, are available and are in the table as you can see here. The monthly report allows you to know exactly how much you're spending versus what you have budgeted for. All data will be automatically adapted to the selected period. Also notice that there are 2 unplanned transactions recorded. The job tips income of Mary and an unplanned expense of clothing that was not budgeted in January. Again, pay attention to not change any other field than the year or the selection of the month. And when we go to the Accounts tab, you can quickly get an overview of the actual balances of the different accounts. Lovely. I use this spreadsheet for my annual budgeting and my money management. I make weekly updates of all my executed transactions and I enter them into the spreadsheet. This money management spreadsheet allows me to be always on top of my financial situation, and it also allows me to adjust my expenses and my savings to my situation. Remember, it is paramount in good money management to find a good way to determine where the money is going. We need to get control of our money. The best way to do this is to track how much money we have, to track our income, and most importantly, to track our outgoing money, to see where we are spending it. Now, this is a fully customized Google Sheets spreadsheet, and it allows exactly that. It is ready for use as a digital download. It is available for purchase in our digital download shop as an immediate download. It is also available as a free download for my VIP patrons. All VIP patrons get a free download available during the 1-month time slot from the moment it is published. So check the Patreon blog for the deadline. And it's also available for purchase in our Etsy shop. All links are mentioned in the section below the video. And of course also on our website and on our Patreon page. I hope this video was useful to you, and if it was, do give it a like and I would appreciate your feedback and comments. Bye for now, and talk to you in the next video.